Hey guys, today I just wanted to do a bit of a different video today. Kind of a channel update slash a little bit about how I got into social media, the Instagram, YouTube, and later TikTok stuff. Um, I was never really big into that social media stuff for most of my life, actually. I had a Facebook like most people when I was young. Um, I had a profile picture I would update every now and then, and mostly I would just share memes and stuff. Um, Obviously, use Messenger and whatever to talk to friends, but I didn't really get into necessarily modeling or like social media sharing and all that kind of stuff until I want to say 2016. That's when I first started my Instagram account, and even then, it was just like for the first few months, it was just pictures of my dogs and stuff that I was baking and some like cooking and different crap like that. More personal interest stuff. Like I think I posted a couple pictures of Christmas gifts that I'd been given and stuff like that early on. I wasn't really too aware of what I wanted to do or if I wanted to do anything with my Instagram. I even had a different name when I started my Instagram. Um, Ephemeral Remy was born at the very end of 2016 or 2017, beginning of 2017, when I started to transition more into kind of what I'm doing now. But even then, it's been a bit of a evolution as it's gone, much like my tattoos in general. But I started seeing on Instagram quite a few like influencer type people, guys with tattoos that they were pushing this sort of kind of edgy style, this bad boy kind of look. And even their captions and stuff were all about kind of how cool they were and how cool kids have sleeves. And, those weren't necessarily what they were saying, but stuff like that, like where it was like almost like a cool kids club to have tattoos and only bad boys do this. And if you have a face tattoo, it means you're hard or you're edgy or whatever. I didn't like that look. Personally, at that point, I had already had a mostly full bodysuit when I started, and I've never really been that kind of a character, and I've never really believed in that sort of a stereotype. So my chief mission for building my Instagram was always to kind of fly in the face of that. Like even before I started the Blackout journey, it was always like, pictures of me and my wife, pictures of my son and I, pictures of me with the dogs and, just more wholesome or family friendly content, less like that badass kind of look that was being perpetuated all over the place and people are selling clothes with. Now, that being said, I did later do some t-shirt modeling myself, but it was always still kind of the same image that I've been using the whole time, where I wanted it to be more like my real life rather than some stage persona I was putting on in order to look cool and sell more t-shirts to 12-year-old boys and whoever else buys those. It's not that I'm knocking that necessarily. It's just I always found that like that was a improper portrayal of what most people who get tattoos are. Most people who get tattoos and piercings are just sort of regular people working jobs and minding their business. And I don't really like the image of the badass tattooed person because I feel like it's sort of another gatekeeping tactic a little bit, or like it's some barrier to entry for regular people. It makes tattoos harder to interface with or understand. So I wanted to put out there another image and see if I could go far with that, which was the family man, which is actually just who I am anyway, but do that in a way that could be marketable in some sense. Now, obviously, that was the first intention of my Instagram and later my YouTube. But it took on obviously a different meaning or different purpose along the way when I started doing the Blackout journey, which I did my first black arm in the beginning or mid 2017, I believe, as I was mostly finished my first suit and kind of looking to carry on. I won't get too far into that because I've made several why I blacked out videos already on the channel, so that's been talked to death. But it became, since I'd already had my first bodysuit, now it's become a platform for me to share images of me deconstructing the first suit and creating the second suit. As I finished my right arm, I had still some pieces left. Originally, when I blacked it out, I left a few pieces that kind of got highlighted with the black around them. But as the years rolled by, I blacked out more and more of that until obviously I have full black sleeves. But it became about sharing pictures of the journey, and I kind of was sad that I didn't get to do a whole lot of that with my first tattoo suit even. And I kind of wished at that point that I had started my Instagram a little bit sooner, but it was still fun to take people with me through the journey of the blackout. And I think a lot of people who've seen me doing it kind of learned that blackout wasn't always just about having crappy tattoos, because that's quite often the idea. Sometimes blackout is more about change or like a rebirth type thing, or so there's a bit of a learning progression there. I think I was going through, and I think a lot of people were going through with me. I don't think that's arrogant to say. I think a lot of people were finding value in it, and it was changing a lot of people's minds on blackout tattoos, and I found that valuable. And so as an extension of that, I decided to create the YouTube channel too. So now I've had the YouTube channel going for nearly 3 years. And when I started my YouTube channel, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted it to be. I knew that I was about to go through the bulk of the blackout journey, and I thought it would be almost like a video diary or like a time capsule, even just for myself. And if people watched it, that was one thing. And if they didn't, then there was no audience for it at first. It was just me talking to a camera. So it was almost like, like an audio video journal of my progress. And I recently actually watched back some of those old first vlogs that I did. And while I found them terrible, and I still kind of find these vlogs a little terrible, if I'm honest. Part of why earlier this year I decreased the size of my labret, and am continuing to. I've actually got a smaller labret in now than I did last week's vlog even. It's now 16 millimeter. Anyway, I found that I was presenting a little easier with the smaller labret in the beginning videos, and I felt like as I continued stretching my labret, it was kind of, I couldn't help but notice that my speaking was a little slower, a little more strained. That being said, the lisp was never from the labret stretching. I've had a lisp since birth from my tongue tie, which is another thing I've gone over in my why I downsized my labret. The lisp isn't part of the stretched labret. That's a tongue tie. If I ever get my tongue split like I want to, that won't be an issue anymore, but I digress. So that watching through those vlogs was part of why I decided to downsize my labret. But I watched through probably, I want to say 20 or 30 of those one day I had off, just kind of in the background, and I thought about how useful this sort of a thing could be to someone who was even young into tattooing, like going through a journey themselves, and as an inspirational tool, like of, oh, well, I've just got part of a sleeve now, but I've watched Remy, he went from this to all this, you know? Like, I feel like that journey aspect is valuable, even if I don't always understand it. I think that showing that progress bit by bit could be inspirational to someone who's struggling to get there themselves, or needing a little bit of a push to get to their goal. And I think that a lot of time when you just see the finished product of a tattoo on social media, it makes you feel kind of like they just got there in one session, or that they just went in and got like 40 or 50 hours and that was that. And a lot of the time, I think people don't understand that tattooing is a marathon and a lifestyle rather than a sprint to the end zone, or at least it should be. Because if you're enjoying it and taking it bit by bit, you'll end up probably happier with the result too. So that's a big part of what I've tried to push with my social media. I will say that my tattoos have changed obviously a lot, but so has the public reaction, and the social media reaction has as well. Um, my first suit was embraced almost completely with positivity. The Blackout was completely hated for a long time. Then it built a bit of a love of its own. And now I even have people who are apprehensive about me changing the Blackout. So it goes to show you that with social media, whatever you water will grow. Like, I had to find an audience for all of this. You know, you have to build an audience for any of these things. And then when you change things, it upsets people. You know, I never thought that at this point, for example, that it would really bother anyone when I changed the eye, because I've changed it so many times. But it just goes to show you that people get attached to certain parts of your character, even more than you do. And you can't always be sure what parts people are going to become attached to. Especially where I built sort of a multifaceted social media platform where for a while, I had the videos where I was sticking things through my nose and through my lip and different stuff like that. And a lot of people got attached to that kind of content. And then there's the father and son stuff. There's my wife and I. There's my tattoo progress. There's my ear progress. All these different things. So there's a lot of people who might not be following me for the tattoos at this point. Or if they are following me for the tattoos, they liked one version of the tattoos and maybe not where I'm going next. It's a bit of a strange thing to be building a following based on something that's never going to stay the same. Because people drink Pepsi, they want that same Pepsi every time they drink it. They don't want Pepsi with a twist. They don't want the ever-evolving Pepsi. And that's the product I'm selling, is always changing. And the things that people will say when you change things are always the funniest. Like, it's always, I'm not done atoning for my past, or I still haven't found love for myself, or I'm still fixing myself, or whatever it is. Honestly, I wish I had got started doing this stuff earlier, because this is the most self-love expression that I could have made. In my past, for example, I didn't do this stuff. This is something I always wanted to be doing, and I wanted to be sharing, even on social media. I would have probably gotten started doing this sooner if I hadn't had my head in the wrong direction for so many of the early years of my adulthood. So it's actually kind of the reverse of those kinds of silly claims. But again, you only ever hear that stuff online. None of that has ever happened anywhere but social media. In person, everything that I'm doing now, people are thrilled about. Or if they're not thrilled about it, they just have no general opinion on it. But yeah, social media is a different animal with body mods for sure. It's more love and it's more hate and everything in between in excess. But I am happy to be sharing all of this, and I feel like it's been a valuable thing to do. Even just these vlogs, as much as I don't watch them myself or really love them myself sometimes, I feel like it's good even just to get it out there and know that I've inspired some people to start similar journeys. And if that was the only reward I ever got from my social media presence, that would be enough. Obviously, I'm doing the podcast now. I've got a t-shirt brand, and we do the Remy Reacts every week. And all of that is going really, really well. I'm happy with it. But overall, the thing that's been the most The thing that I'm most proud of about all of the social media stuff that I've done, being Ephemeral Remy, is the fact that I know so many people have told me that I've inspired them to do something similar and how much better they feel about it afterwards. And that feeling is worth more money than there is in the world to me. So I'm so honored always to have been inspiration to so many people. And I wouldn't stop now for anything, honestly. Even as many headaches as it can be sometimes dealing with algorithms that don't work in your favor, or trolls that hate you for no apparent reason. All Despite all of that stuff, I'm still thrilled to be doing all of this, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video kind of update of the channel and do a bit of a retrospective on things to this point. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, or if you've hated it, let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and I'll talk to you again soon.